I'm here with Dan Gregory at Lei Gallery, and you just had your exhibition for your show Initiate. Congratulations.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks for putting the show on. Yeah.
Glad to. And so the show's called Initiate?
Yes.
Or Initiate?
Initiate, a verb and a noun, as you just reminded me. Yeah. Yeah, it picks up on themes of initiations into certain rituals and certain belief patterns, whether they be esoteric, exoteric, societal, magical, that sort of thing. Touching upon these themes. These are things that I've always kind of been interested in, the occult and the esoteric and mystical elements of things and the unseen realms and things like that. It was touching upon themes that I've been interested in since I was a kid, and also kind of loosely formed ideas that I used when I was at university as well. So.
And have these ideas always been important to your work?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like this has brought the ideas together a lot better than when I first tried to implement them at uni. Felt like I didn't have the life experience maybe necessary at the time to really bring it all together, but I feel like this show was a better representation of those ideas.
So you were initiated into adulthood?
Into adulthood, yeah, again, like somewhat of a spiritual awakening, and like these ideas that I was into as a kid became more interested in again, but also just making art again. I haven't made art in a long time, since uni.
Why is that?
I got a little bit jaded after university. I was like, kind of felt like it was who you know, not what you know.
Yeah, right.
And as you can vouch with art school, it's very much like that. It took a real long time before I felt confident to make stuff again. So like the last 2 or 3 years, I've been making stuff again. And certainly the last 2 years have been, the work that I've done in the last 2 years have culminated into this show, more or less.
And so a lot of the works are about rituals.
Yeah, this wall, I have one wall that is like gratuitous in its like, in the rituals that it's portraying. Some of them are initiation rituals. I wanted them to be all initiation rituals, but it's quite hard to find all initiation rituals. But like certainly the Masonic ritual, the baptism, certainly these rituals play into like an introduction into an ideal or a belief system or a spiritual philosophy or something like that. The geometric pieces conceptually represent like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, or the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, which is a ritual. It's the first ritual that you're taught in the school of the Golden Order, the Order of the Golden Dawn. A ceremonial magic group from the 1800s, like white magic group tied to like Druidism and Freemasonry as well at the time. So they were very much influenced by my readings at the time on Crowley and the Golden Dawn and things like that. Interested in like Escher's always been one of my favorite artists. So like that tessellation and everything was always very like influential to me, particularly in my first couple of years at art school. And I wanted to do like a tessellation that wasn't so straightforward, like a 5-fold tessellation. It's based on the pentagram, which doesn't tessellate naturally, like only squares, triangles, and hexagons, I think, tessellate naturally. So to do it with pentagrams was a little bit more challenging, but also conceptually, I thought brought it all together really well.
And you did those digitally, right?
Yeah, everything in the show is digital. I wanted to do these as screen prints, but yeah, very time consuming, and the inks were not really up to snuff. If I did it again, I would definitely maybe get the screens done professionally, but like invest in some better ink. Something I might do in future. But really in future, I want to go kind of this way with the hard lines, and maybe a little bit more like what you do, like some lino cut or wood cut.
Yeah, this looks more like it could have been an old woodcut.
Yeah, it was.
Or a traditional pen and ink piece.
Yeah, it was based on an old engraving, I think, from the 1700s. So I always kind of like doing printmaking at college as well, and etching and stuff like that. So, but I never really spent a long time doing the woodcuts and the lino cuts. So this is kind of, this piece and the piece at the end is kind of where I kind of see my work evolving into in the next year or two. I plan on I'm going traveling soon, but I plan on just taking the next year or two to really hone my like pen and ink and gradient and tonal qualities to my work, you know.
So one thing that's not in the show that I really like of yours is on your Instagram feed, you were showing a lot of the wrestler pieces, right?
Oh yeah.
And you do that every year?
Yeah, me, Brett, and one of his friends in Taipei, we did that last year. They did it the year before. They've been pretty busy with other drawing challenges, and I've also been pretty busy with other life stuff getting in the way. I think it was due to be December that we were going to do it, but everyone's just been kind of too busy.
Sure.
So I think maybe February, but I need to talk to those guys again. But I'm certainly looking forward to doing that. And I was thinking of doing that just in this sort of style to get some experience with just like the tonal.
I'm interested in the ritual art practice and the ritual of the challenge as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that ties in at all with
I for sure. Like I always saw wrestling. Wrestling is kind of like a magic ritual of sorts, right? Sure. It's kind of like the sleight of hand, and like it's a work. It's like people say it's not real, but then it's like those guys get injured. Right? It's a performance, but there's also like trickery, and you know the guys will cut themselves up and like not show that the.
So it's like kind of like a ballet and kind of like a sleight of hand.
Yeah, but also like just
strength competition.
Yeah, but also like the way they manipulate the audience for a certain energetic effect. It's all pure magic. You know?
Sure.
Like,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I find all that sort of like group psychology fascinating as well. When I was at uni, I did a piece on the bullfighting, which is why I chose bullfight as a ritual here. But in that piece, I kind of focused more on the audience's participation in the bullfight and how the energy of the people changes as they become like more bloodlusty. Right. All these old grandmas out in their Sunday best, but just like, you know, like just how the energy changes in those things are like really interesting.
I think it's important to civilization to have these kinds of outlets.
It fascinates me why we have these outlets, and a lot of them tie in with the elements. For sure, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram is based on the 4 elements plus ether, like the spirit as well. The 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, are balanced within the ether, basically. But in a lot of the ritual paintings, they all kind of associate with one element or another. Fire pops up a lot in them, or like water in the baptism, for example. The Pachamama is basically an Incan version of the ritual of the pentagram. It's pretty much exactly the same ritual. They're basically praying and asking for giving praise to the Earth Mother, and they use little sacrifices. They burn things and like have little trinkets that represent the elements and stuff. So yeah, I mean that's all fascinating to me. The psychological effect that people gain from these rituals is very interesting to me. Whether that's just placebo or whether there is something to that, but it's it's gone on for thousands of years since there's been civilization. Mankind's always needed this need to try and either contact something within them of a higher state or a higher power, or something without them as well, like in nature or like in the ether or the ancestors or stuff like that.
It's interesting because I'm right now in my work I'm thinking a lot about emergent phenomena like in nature and stuff like that, and you're making me think about how, like with the groups, with the bullfight or these large crowds, right? You get a little bit of the people next to you kind of getting a little bit whipped up, and that feeds back to you. Yeah. And then it creates this sort of this feedback kind of grid, and you get this different sense of state of consciousness that comes out. For sure. And what's interesting about the bullfight as well is that it always falls upon like Catholic holidays. So they build up, like Semana Santa, for example, around Easter. The bullfights build up. So it's like, and
bull worship was huge in ancient Greece, in ancient Rome, and then it changed into something else. But it's essentially a pagan blood ritual around these like Catholic holidays. And like, you know, yeah, so like you have like this, still like this blood ritual, but based on this, like what is now seen as an established, civilized religion, but then it has these like undertones of very sort of like darker, primal, instinctual, like human battle of like intelligence and bestiality, you know, a bestial energy, you know.
Yeah. All right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot to think about.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah. Cheers for putting the show on again, and thanks for chatting to me too.
Glad to do it. Cheers.
Cheers.